Oh yeah, I remember being super super young and going with like a family friend to like I don't even remember, like some pop concert or something where I was like so young, like falling asleep, like 6 years old, 7 years older. I can't even remember at all. But one of the first real shows I went to was like seeing, I can't remember which one exactly, but it was seeing my drum teacher play with his band. And he was playing with a lot of like the up and coming, metal bands that were kind of blowing up. But maybe right before that, around the same time, it was probably Blink 182. And for me, that was like a huge one. I've always been kind of like a pop punk kind of emo kid, growing up on like Travis Barker and Blink 182 and stuff.
Hey, what's up, Vox and Hops heads? I'm Matt, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, brought to you by Sound Talent Media and Evergreen Podcasts, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians, talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. Hope you had a killer weekend. I most certainly did. This Vox and Hops episode is presented by Heavy Montreal. Heavy Montreal are Montreal's premier metal promoter, and trust me when I say this, if you are ever in Montreal and you're looking for a killer gig to go to, well, Heavy Montreal will have you covered. I'm beyond stoked to have Heavy Montreal behind the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast. Now, before we jump into today's episode, I'd just like to ask you to follow the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast on the podcast platform of your choice. But more than that, I would love if you would tell one of your friends about the podcast. You can let them know that I have over 460 episodes where I sit down with some of the world's best metal musicians to talk all about their lives and music, and we also share amazing craft beers. If you would encourage one of your music-loving craft beer enthusiast friends to become a brand new Vox and Hops head, that would be something that I would truly appreciate. This week on the podcast, I'm very stoked to be with Anthony Barone of All That Remains and many other projects. Get ready, everyone. This is Vox and Hops episode number 462.
I warn you, what you are about to hear is very disturbing indeed.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Today I'm very stoked to be with Anthony Barone of many bands. Right now, he's primarily focused in All That Remains. You played drums, and how I heard about you originally was when you tracked Shadow of Intent or Beneath the Massacre. I might be mixing up those two because Christian Donaldson had some big things to say about you. He basically told me that you were the best drummer that he's ever recorded.
Not true. Not true. Donaldson is far too kind, but what a wonderful intro. I appreciate it so much.
So it's been a few years since that happened, and since then you've been on my radar. I've been doing the podcast for over 5 years, so I've been wanting to have a chat with you, and then I saw the All That Remains announcement, the new band photo with you a part of the lineup, and I was like, this is it. I'm writing him. Let's make this happen. You responded. Here we are. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great, man. It's so cool to, finally be able to talk to you. I know we were chatting a little bit there, but thanks for having me. I'm really excited. Glad you saw the All Our Main stuff as well to get a little jump start there and hop on. So, yeah, I'm really excited. I got a beer here ready, excited to crack it open. And, thanks for having me, man.
Hell yes. I mentioned before I pushed record that I'm a new metal child, a metalcore child. My band before I was in Cryptopsy was called 3 Mile Scream, and we were basically a Kill Switch Engage worship band, and I definitely listened to a lot of All That Remains in my early stages of starting to scream and do clean vocals. It was Phil definitely had a huge inspiration on me. It's been the first record I can't remember the name of, but I remember I was listening to that when I took the train from Two Mountains, because I grew up in a small city outside of Montreal, coming in to hang out with Randy Bly for the first time, and I was listening to that first All That Remains record, so very, very fond memories, and it's got a special place in my heart. So the fact that you get to go out there and play with them night after night and go on tour with them, it makes me happy.
Very cool to hear that, man. Yeah, it's cool for me, obviously, because, just coming into the band recently, and, that first record was like a really big one for me when I first started playing drums, and then I was really familiar as I was getting more into metal drumming with all those hits like This Calling and everything, The Fall of Ideals. So
yes, that was it.
Yes. The Fall of Ideals. Yeah, there was another one before that
with the dude like this there.
Yeah, that was I remember seeing that in the Saw soundtrack, the video that had the clips from Saw movie and stuff.
God damn.
Yeah, it had me really stoked, man. I had the opportunity to fill in for the band on the Fall of Ideals 15-year anniversary tour, and that was 2 years ago in 2022. So I got to play the record front to back with the band and a couple other hits with them and stuff. But for me, that was like a huge record growing up. So yeah, that was like a pretty wild experience. So I'm really excited to go back out there with the guys.
Very cool. I'm very stoked for you. It's Vox and Hops. I'm thirsty. I don't know about you. You said you got some beers there. Vox and Hops is all about hanging out with my metal friends, talking about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. What beer do you have on your side that we're going to be sharing virtually tonight?
Yes, sir. I've got here from Other Half Brewery. I've got the Forever Ever. It's a double dry hopped hazy India Pale Ale.
Hell yes.
It's looking really good. It says here on the back, it's Mosaic Cashmere Citra, massively double dry hopped crusher with notes of peach tea, citrus, passion fruit, and mango.
Hell yes, that sounds amazing. I don't know if I've ever had an Other Half, to be honest. I went to Grimm. We spoke about this before we pushed record too. I feel like they're like somehow connected. Maybe they're not. They're both hype breweries from Brooklyn, New York area. I was playing the Monarch last time when Cryptopsy came through, and that's really close to Grimm. I also went to KCBC that day, but I never went and enjoyed any Other Half. So you'll have to enjoy it for me. And when I come through very shortly with Death to All, I'm definitely going to try to get my hands on some.
Will do. Yeah, definitely check it out. Those are pretty much the two breweries that I'm familiar with in Brooklyn and New York. You know, I live on Long Island myself. It's not too far. So, yeah, Other Half and Grimm, definitely really solid. I'm not quite a beer connoisseur like yourself. You know, I always kind of wanted to learn a little more about it and, you know, develop my palate and stuff. But I definitely enjoy a nice IPA and a solid brewery.
Hell yes.
What do you got there?
I got something that I thought was an IPA when I first had it, and it turns out that it's a lager. So this is a special beer. It's from Kahnawake Brewing, which is one of my favorite breweries from here in Quebec. It's just outside Montreal on the native territory of Kahnawake, First Nation-owned brewery. This is their High Steel. They made it for their 6th anniversary, and it's a 420 lager. Now, I thought it was an IPA when I had it at the event 2 weeks ago, and I was a bit disappointed, and I sort of thought that it was just not up to my expectations of what an IPA should be. They've added terpenes to it. Yeah, exactly. Botanical terpenes, because their anniversary was on 420. So they made a terpene, which is basically the botanicals that give the plant extracts, the plant essentials, the whatever that gives weed its flavor and its taste.
Very interesting. Wow.
So I thought it was going to be an IPA, and I would have made it an IPA that I would have put terpenes in, but they made it a lager. And when I had the second one, this is my second one, I had one the other night, and I realized that it was a lager. I was like, oh, this makes so much more sense to my palate right now. But that's what I'm going to be having.
And it's 4.20%. Look at that.
Yeah. Drew at Kahnawake and Amanda, they don't fuck around. So I'm going to crack this, pour this out, and take me back to your very first beer. Do you remember the first beer you ever drank, Anthony?
Oh, that's a tough question. I think I do. I was in high school. If that's, okay to talk about underage drinking, of course.
It depends where you live.
Not too out of the ordinary. Yeah, I guess. I think I was in 10th grade, maybe, or I was just at a friend of mine's small party, and they were chilling on the trampoline or whatever, and they were drinking, and my friend offered me a beer, and I can't remember what it was, but it was something like really basic, it might have been just like a Budweiser or like a Heineken or something, but yeah, I've always liked beer. Recently, I haven't been drinking a whole lot of beer. I've been trying to get a little more serious with like the fitness and the health stuff. So if I'm really sitting down or going out, I would love to enjoy like a nice IPA or going to a brewery and stuff. If I'm kind of on the go, I was doing a little bit more just like mixed drinks or, diet tonic with gin or something, or just vodka soda. But
You gotta watch what goes into your beautiful body. It's because there's nothing worse than what we do to ourselves with these.
It's important, yeah, that's for sure. But I definitely love to enjoy a good beer. So
crack yours. Yeah, I sort of interrupted you. Cheers. It pours out nice and light, which is what when I got it at the anniversary, I was like, "Where's the fucking haze in this beer?" But it's a lager. It makes perfect sense. You can smell it on the nose. Dank, weedy tendencies, sweet citrus almost.
Very nice. Yeah, I think I could taste the little bit of peach kind of. That's what sold it on me. I really like sweet things, like kind of peach tea, like kind of like, I don't know like that much about, how to describe like my palate or details with, certain kinds of IPAs or beer and stuff, but I like wheat beer, something
Nice.
kind of like sweeter,
Yeah.
sweeter and lighter, I think is really good. And I could go for like a sour every now and then too. But I usually keep it pretty tame. I'll order something that's, maybe kind of safe. But yeah, this one tastes really good.
Hell yeah. So the way that you hypothetically can't feel like you cannot describe the palate, the flavor profile of a beer, I don't understand paradiddles or things like that, or odd time signatures the way that you do. So we're okay.
Okay, yeah, we're on the same page. That's a good comparison, actually.
We were in the back lounge of this with the atheist dudes with Dylan Marks, and Chris was like calling out this something, and they were talking about it for like 20 minutes, and they were doing it, both of them, and I was like, I don't understand what's happening. But it was still fun.
Yeah, drum talk is good.
I'd like to hear about the soundtrack of your youth when you were growing up in your parents' or guardians' house. What music was playing when you were not in control of the radio? What music did your parents or guardians listen to?
Let's see. My dad was really into like, I don't know, really old school, like 60s, 50s, 60s, kind of like, I guess from, his like really, really early childhood. And I remember hearing, just like 50s on 5 or what, the stations on the way to school and stuff like that on the radio. And just kind of, I don't know, a little bit of everything, I guess. I definitely kind of found my own path though with the music. I didn't really gravitate towards anything that
was playing in your house.
My parents were listening to. No, not really. My mom would play some like, kind of like, I don't know, Saturday, Sunday worship music or something like church related, I don't know, something like that. And it was really like when I started playing drums, and my drum teacher really kind of introduced me to a lot of music that I kind of found my own path. But yeah, earlier I could remember was like, as far as like music that I was listening really into was, I don't know, early 2000s, like, I don't really know what to call it. Just like the newer, I guess it was like Linkin Park. Yeah, I remember it was like really kind of blowing up and
so big. It was everywhere. You couldn't get away from it.
Yeah. And, back then when I was young, it was like watching all the music videos on like Fuse and like, MTV and everything. And then there was like Headbangers Ball as I got like more and more into the heavier stuff like that, but yeah, it was all over the place, really. I like a lot of different kinds of music.
What was the thing that really inspired you to start the drums? Where did that come from? Do you have this vivid memory as a child? Like I have one for myself, being in the car, driving on vacation with my parents, listening to Bohemian Rhapsody, and there's that "To Me" part at the beginning, and I completely envisioned myself doing that. And I feel like it's from there that everything has stemmed and just rolled and become this reality that I've crafted for myself. Do you have a moment like that?
Yeah, that's a nice. That sounds like a good memory. I do. Pretty vividly remember when I first saw someone like play drums in person, and that's really what did it for me. But believe it or not, I was playing like the flute in like third grade or something.
Just slaying it.
Yeah, everyone was like had to play the recorder, or in the first second grade maybe, I don't know, and then everyone had to pick an instrument, and I chose one, and I don't really remember. I was so young. I was probably in like third grade maybe, or and I thought that it was maybe the clarinet or something, or I think I didn't really understand, and then everyone got their instruments in, and I was like, oh, okay, like, but I thought it was cool, and like it's kind of like a funny origin story, I think, comparing and looking back now to like the kind of music I play and like, ripping blast beats and crazy like death metal that I'd like really is such a big part of my identity. And then I think back to like when I was playing the flute and like, people I was made fun of by kids in my class and all that. Yeah.
Because you were the only flute.
I was like the only kid, the boy that was playing flute, and it was like a small private school or whatever. But I really vividly remember there was a new kid at my school, and his name was Chris. Shout out to my friend Chris McCluskey, because he's pretty much why I started playing drums. But he came in and there was no drummer in the band, you know, the concert band or everyone playing like, and he was a new kid at my school and he came in and I'd never seen anyone play drums before. So he sat down on the kid and I remember like the piano teacher kind of like checking or, you know, can you play this beat or like with the song or whatever we were doing. And like, I just thought it was like the sickest thing ever. Like,
cause he could hold a beat.
Yeah. Yeah. Just playing like a basic beat or something. And I thought it was just like so sick and it was so cool. And I just really like, I don't know, wanted to start playing and gravitated towards that immediately. So, yeah, so shout out to my good friend Chris. You know, that's pretty much why I might not have ever started playing if that didn't happen. That was like a pretty clear catalyst for me. And then I started taking private lessons. My parents helped get me like set up at like a local music store.
How easy was that conversation to encourage them to do that? What was it something that the like music in my household is encouraged with my children? Is that something that happened in your household too?
Yeah, it definitely was. I really can't remember, but my parents were like really supportive with it. I know my brother was kind of like learning guitar. He wanted to learn guitar or something at the time, and he was 2 years older than me. And I remember kind of wanting to play guitar as well, and like looking at guitars online and thought they were really cool. And then that happened with my friend at my school and stuff. And I think they just kind of set it up for me. I don't remember really having to like convince them, maybe to like buy a drum set. I remember after, but I was going
like getting the drums
local
into the house is like a big hurdle to get over.
Yeah. It wasn't really, I don't remember it being really an issue, but I definitely remember being that kid of like, oh God, please, get a kid. And like, cause obviously, drums were so loud and like, so we had it set up in my basement and stuff. But first, I would just go to the local music store.
Exactly.
And that's where I met my drum teacher, who really kind of guided my...
You'd go to lessons and play there, and then you go home and not have drums, which is like a thing that's hard to get better at, hypothetically, because you can't put into action what you learned in your lesson if you're a good student.
Absolutely, yeah. It's hard to simulate or practice, like, if you're not on the real thing, So I had, like, drum pads and stuff, and I remember getting like a kind of electronic thing or something that was some kind of like Yamaha, like a few pads, and it had like samples on it or something, and a drum pad or something. But then I got like a little drum kit at like Sam Ash, or the groove percussion, or like the bass line whatever kit. And
we'll see if they stick. We'll see if he sticks on this, that investment.
Yeah, definitely. Because, everyone growing up, you go through so many phases and things you want to try and you want to do. I played every sport in school, tried so many different things, had so many phases and stuff. But I just was really into it and taking lessons. And I had some breaks here and there where I stopped and started, and just growing up, going through school, middle school, and into high school. And then that's when I got a lot more serious with it.
So what about your first shows, like the very first show that you went to go see? Do you remember that experience?
Oh, yeah. I remember being super, super young and going with like a family friend to like I don't even remember, like some pop concert or something where I was like so young, like falling asleep, like 6 years old, 7 years older. I can't even remember at all. But one of the first real shows I went to was like seeing, I can't remember which one exactly, but it was seeing my drum teacher play with his band. And he was playing with a lot of like the up and coming, metal bands that were kind of blowing up. But maybe right before that, or around the same time, it was probably Blink 182. And for me, that was like a huge one. I've always been kind of like a pop punk kind of emo kid, growing up on like Travis Barker and Blink 182 and stuff. And that was like a really big one for me. And I remember seeing them at Jones Beach Theater in Jones Beach, Wantagh, Long Island. And it was just the sickest show. Like, I don't know, I was just absolutely blown away. And I'm playing the same venue now for the first time on the tour. All Remains.
That's amazing, man.
Megadeth. Yeah, so that's going to be like a really kind of full circle thing for me.
That's like a huge moment there. I had that when I was a kid at Metropolis when Cryptopsy opened for Lamb of God there. Just one of those.
That must have been epic, yeah.
Scratch off the list there, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited. For me, that's like going to be wild. Like, that's kind of like the earliest that's like the concert I count as like the first one. It was Blink at Jones Beach. And yeah, going to play it like this year for the first time. I'm so stoked. I can't wait. It's going to be insane.
That's super sick. You're going to be like, just have that moment. Just think about it when you're on stage and just take it in, because don't let it just be another normal show, because it's not. It's like a full circle. Like if you could go back in time and whisper into your child ear that, you know, in X amount of years, if you do the right things, but not the right things, if you choose certain decisions, you'll end up on that stage.
Yeah, it really is crazy to think about. I'm gonna make sure that I take it in and appreciate it, because it's so easy to get, you know, lost in the moment and kind of the grind of tour and
just thinking about the click.
Just try not to mess up, you know, trying to play as tight as I can and everything. But I'll definitely take that in. So yeah, I'm really excited. And I, you know, was really into Mudvayne growing up as well too, kind of around that time. And so being able to share the stage with them is going to be really sick. And obviously Megadeth is, you know, iconic. So
I am so ready for Mudvayne to come back to Montreal. They haven't been here since they've been back together, and everyone on the podcast knows I'm a new metal child. I fucking love Mudvayne. So I was that dude watching all those, like, the reunion videos that when they played those first shows, I watched them all. So, so I'm jealous.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sick, man. Yeah, that's awesome to hear that.
And it's super cool that so many pop punk drummers got influenced by Travis, because he's like one of the best drummers in the world, you know, and he's influenced countless amount of people while playing somewhat simplistic songs, but he's not being simple whatsoever.
Yeah, he was a really huge influence on me, to be honest. And like, you know, there's certain things in the drumming within each respective communities, and definitely the drumming, you know, especially getting pretty deeply embedded in the metal scene and stuff. It's kind of a common thing to look at like certain drummers or styles and be like, oh, well, that's simpler. You're playing, you know, like punk beats and, you know, pop punk, or that's lame, or it's like not hard. It's not that hard to play compared to like some of the extreme, like take like Flow or something, you know, from Cryptopsy, like some insane
Flow loves Travis Barker.
Dude, yeah, I love him, man, as a drummer. And like for me, a lot of those are kind of have to do with my roots and like the style and the energy and like the drumming and the intensity. That's such an important part of that and the identity. And it's not just, you know, what is the beat on paper, you know, like there's just so much more to playing drums, I think, and music than that.
And it's really interesting too. And I imagine you would be able to do this. And I think that hypothetically Flo has this type of thumbprint too, that if you were just to hear someone's drum tracks, you would be able to pick out, oh, that's Travis Barker.
Yeah, he definitely has that like signature stamp. Like,
you know what I mean? I think Flo sort of has that, and a few other people definitely have that you there's certain things that just it breathes their DNA.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would say Flo for sure as well, but that's just such like a special thing to have, is, you know, you're being able to like really see your identity in, you know, in your playing, or you just hear it, like you said, you know. So for me, that's why, you know, I really always love Travis, and like just growing up looking up to drummers and music. And I just thought it was like so cool, man. Like, you know, the people you look up to and want to be like that was definitely a really big one for me. And yeah, maybe I remember like one of the first, like I have a really early memory too, like asking my drum teacher, like, can you teach me this like fill from First Date, like the opening intro to the Blink-182 song? And my teacher just being like, oh yeah, of course, like it's easy, it's like this, and wrote it out for me and taught me. But I just remember like watching the music video and playing it over and over again, or like trying to slow it down and thinking it was just like the sickest thing ever, you know. But yeah, that's like the really special stuff, I think, for me.
Showcasing identity in playing, even though it's simplistic, but it's still making it complex. It's next level writing, because he could have chosen the easy beat, but he didn't.
Yeah.
To make it's just adding that little bit of sugar to everything. Do you remember your first time on stage?
I do. I did like, you know, I played like some, like I played the talent shows at my school. I did some.
This is
really
like early
stuff.
Young bands.
High school, not even. I just did like a drum solo.
Really?
And then maybe one I played with some other friends, where like, you know, someone was playing a song on piano, and we like accompanied him to kind of. Yeah, you know, like some covers or something, but then I just did like a solo. And so for me, those were kind of like the earliest show moments, because it was like a performance, because I wasn't playing any shows in high school or anything.
How did that drum solo affect the perception from the flute afterwards? Because I started playing shows in high school, all of a sudden I became a little bit more popular. I was less of a dork. So I was wondering, did a drum solo have that same effect?
Yeah, it was definitely weird. I was at a different school at that point, like from when, elementary or really early on. So I don't know, no one at that school, maybe some of my earliest, I had some classmates that went to the first school with me, I think there too, but it was probably different. But like, yeah, I don't know how well it translated, playing in the tiny little hall, like beating on my kit, like playing, I don't know, blast beats and just crazy fills or something. And then I have a pretty funny story actually where me and two friends of mine, we played at like a morning meeting in the library in my school in like senior year maybe, or maybe
that's a cool
grade.
Librarian right there.
Yeah, so we were like, I went to like a private school and it was very small. So like there were literally like 40 kids in my grade.
Oh, wow.
All the other grades were even smaller, I think, from what I remember. But maybe every Wednesday or whatever day, like the beginning of the school day at like literally 8 a.m., there was like a morning meeting or everyone would meet in the library and people would discuss whatever current events or new whatever at the school or sports. And for some reason, like, they started doing like some kind of activities or someone would feature something or present, I don't know, some kind of creative thing and I don't know how or remember what or why we ended up doing this, but like, I set up my kit in the library and my friend had his amp and we played like an August Burns Red cover or something like stupid loud, like metalcore, like bashing on my china in the library. Everyone's just like standing there, like, there's like a dress code, people wearing like a tie and blazers and stuff. And like, it was probably the most awkward like performance that I've ever done, but it was hilarious.
That is a very cool school moment and good for your school to allow extreme things to happen in non-extreme locations.
They did. Yeah. Good on them for that. I'm more grateful than I realized looking back on that. That was a weird situation, but it was awesome. Yeah, it was cool. So
the worst thing, the awkwardest show I've ever done was at a Hard Rock cafe and people were eating and my metalcore band played.
Oh wow,
it
nice
was
one.
Very awkward. And
yeah, kind of like a little jazz bar setup.
Really bad. But
yeah, I remember my first real show, but basically what I was getting at was basically I didn't play any shows like in high school with any local bands or stuff like that. I didn't really have like a lot of people. Everyone at my school, I had like that one friend maybe who was like into metal, and like I wasn't really playing music with anyone, so I was always just like learning covers or making YouTube videos and stuff. And I didn't play my first show till I went on tour with this deathcore band from Indiana, from Evansville. They're called Aegean. And I got a message from Nick, the bass player, on YouTube, like during my freshman year of college. And then I just went off for my first tour during the summer. And I had never played like a real show before.
Holy
so that was
shit.
Just like the first one was on tour.
Were you ready? Was it scary though? Because it's a different thing than playing the library at the morning meeting than taking it to a live, dirty venue, hypothetically, with people there.
Yeah, the library can't quite prepare you for those types of shows, that's for sure. But yeah, it was like somewhere, some small club, I don't know, in Michigan or somewhere really random. It was like a small, deathcore like headliner on our way out to another tour or something. But I remember just having a ton of fun and like, headbanging super hard and just getting really into it and just being like, this is really, what I want to do, perform and play shows and stuff. So
super interesting. I love that because your high school was so small, because there was no other necessarily like-minded people, you didn't just give up. You found another way to continue performing, and being in the era of the internet and YouTube, you used that as a medium, and then showcasing your playing got you a goddamn gig and brought you on tour, which is crazy. This would have never happened 20 years ago.
Yeah. Thanks, man. No, I was looking back, it's really weird how it happened, but yeah, just being able to get a message randomly and being like, hey, we need a drummer for a tour, or can you do this? And then it's crazy, like, and then that's basically how I started touring. And
spiraled.
Then things they spiral, and it's a chain reaction where you meet certain people or you go on a certain tour. And I ended up going on tour maybe the next year or two I did my first tour in Europe, and I met some Australian bands there, which got me connected. I played for a band called A Night in Texas from Australia for three or so years. And it's crazy how it works, just meeting people and, you know, the way certain opportunities will just kind of like unfold. You just never really know kind of what's going on, but
there's some secrets though. There's some secrets that from me being on the other side of the veil, being in the band, looking for replacement people like we did with Dom replacing Ollie, is there's like key factors to being a good replacement person or being a good person that's going to get picked up just from hanging out with them on tour. So first off, you have to be good at your instrument. Secondly, you have to be fucking cool. So obviously both of those are checked with you. And then third off, you have to do your job when you're out there, not just be cool and be, you know, there's certain things that you got to be on top of when you're on tour. You don't want to be that person that leaves your shit everywhere, because that gets around too. People know that about you. So that means that's exactly the type of person you are.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I would like to think so. I hope so. I've definitely, you know, it is really important, like, because especially nowadays, like, everyone is so good at, it's just unlimited, like, accessible talent, you know, the people that are out there,
especially in the drumming world. Maybe in everything there, but the drummers are really freaking good now.
Yeah, it's really like, it's scary, man. Like, I don't know, everyone's so good. There's so much pressure to be like, you know, to just hold your own, and like, it's very competitive and stuff, but everyone's so good. It's like, it's a cool thing too, you know. But yeah, there's so much else that goes into touring. Anyone that's ever toured knows like how important it is to just be, you know, a good person, easy to get along with, easy to hang out with. Like you mentioned, yeah, don't be leaving your stuff everywhere. There's certain unwritten rules. There's green room etiquette. There's
yes. Not everyone knows that. They just leave their shit everywhere. You put your bag down in a corner, and all of a sudden some guy's jacket's on your bag.
Yeah, it's bad. Like, you know, you go, especially doing like the early van tours, like really grinding, and like, you know, you have to be able to really just kind of like be chill, adapt to certain environments, and like, you know, keep your cool. Things get like stressful and, you know, pretty hectic on tour. But yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, I think. That's for sure.
I went to a local show on Sunday night, and I had my parents watching my kids. So there was like a deadline that I had to leave, and I wanted to see a specific band, local band. And then there was a changeover happening, and I was like, what the fuck is happening? Why is this taking so long? And then I was like, oh yeah, this is a local show. There's no stage manager. There's no one helping him. You know, I'm the type of guy like the drums are done. Any band that finishes right before me there, I'm going to tear down your drums because I want to put Flo's kid up. I want to help. You know, I lead by example. I want everyone to help. And the best way to make people help is by showing them that if you're helping, they're going to help you, especially as a headliner when we're headlining.
Oh yeah, that's a good quality to have as a vocalist too. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Don't always see that. That's great. You know, the drummer. That's like drummer's best friend. You know, the vocal is helping with the kit, especially when you have a huge kit like going on stage, and you gotta, you know, you can't strike you got
the guy before you're doing this there. You know, like the rolling the cable guy too. But
oh yeah. It's funny seeing, you know, knowing the behind the scenes, and then going to a regular show and being like, I
hadn't been in years, and I was like, my parents got to leave soon. I want to watch this band. What is happening?
Yeah.
My wife was like, aren't they pro? I'm like, yeah, but they're local.
Yeah, that's funny, man. That's definitely a good example.
I love that you filled in for so many people. Talk to me about like coming in and like learning a whole album like you did for All That Remains or many other bands that you've done. What techniques go into that, and how do you, as we were speaking about before, find your way to put your thumbprint on it? And are you allowed to hypothetically put your thumbprint on it so that people listening to it know that it's you?
Yeah, it depends on the situation. I know that when I did like a tour like the Fall of Ideals one with All That Remains, I got a call a few weeks into their tour, and I had to fill in kind of on an emergency situation. And I think I had about 4, maybe 5 days, and I just flew straight out, and we rehearsed on an off day, and then I just hopped right on to the kit for the next show. And, but luckily I already knew the album like pretty much.
Because you listened to it so much, yeah.
Yeah, literally, because just as a fan, and I was so young, like I remembered the record so well, and just like obviously was a big fan and stuff. So I had to brush up on it, obviously, and practice a lot. But luckily that was like, you know, kind of saved me a lot of time and stuff. But in situations like that, like I'm coming in and I want to like play
the album
as close. Yeah. I want to honor the album, like this is an anniversary tour for the fans. Like, and I always thought things should sound, like they do, on the CD, on the record. And it depends on the style of music though, I think, because there's so much other, awesome stuff that I think is really cool seeing like improvised or like other styles of music and stuff. But with something so technical, especially with the metal drumming and, an album like that, it's hard to put like your little twist on it. But I think like just the way you perform and, what I like to bring kind of just to the kit, even if the parts are the same, just the way that you're playing still, I think, can come across differently. So I like to still think that like you can see some of my style.
Visually, your style will come out.
Yeah, and maybe, just with certain, hitting things a certain way or with a certain intensity or, velocity, with just really like putting your whole body into the blast, or, it depends on what you're playing and stuff. There's so many different ways to play like the same part, I think, but it depends. I definitely learned a lot doing a lot of like session work or coming in and doing certain gigs where like you have to kind of adapt to like what's needed and what's called for like for the gig. But in most scenarios for me, it's been, the more accurate you can play something and deliver what, what's already there or has been recorded or what's expected of you, then like I think the better it will turn out.
So when you go see a band and there's a fill-in person, you expect them. If it's a band that you love.
I don't necessarily expect them, because I really do appreciate like seeing some of the improvised parts or like the different fills or something. I actually kind of I think that's refreshing. Yeah. So I'd say for me, like usually it was expected that the stuff you're playing, it should be as accurate and close to the CD as possible. But I know like one of my favorite bands of all time is like Origin. And while I know John does like some really kind of cool extra shreddy stuff or like changing up a fill here and there from the record. And like, I think it's really cool just to be able to know a song and play a part, and kind of change it up a little bit, So I don't necessarily go into shows with that expectation. I think I appreciate both sides for sure.
And how do you approach when you have to compose drums for an album? How much freedom do you get there? Because I feel the Beneath the Massacre, Shadow of Intent is all you, those records, I think.
Yeah, it's difficult. In a lot of those, like we worked on the pre-pro for a long time. I went like back and forth with Chris, both Chris's from Shadow and Chris from Beneath as well. But
I miss him,
doing the pre-pro, and it depends on the project and who's writing and who's doing what. But a lot of times, the guitar players and everyone will have a pretty clear vision of like what they want with the song, and while they're writing, they'll have drums that they're programming. So it usually serves as a guide, or at least like, this part's a blast beat, or like, like Chris or Elliot would say from Beneath, like the chainsaw riff or whatever, like, crazy tremolo, like, this is like going to be like a scissor blast or Euro blast or whatever. And then I would like to just kind of go from there and like make it my own. And I think where a lot of the magic comes from is like coming up with things on the spot in the studio, and like going in prepared, but being like
happy accidents.
Happy accidents when you're really kind of in the zone or you're trying to fill like, oh wait, let me try it here, or do it on this splash or this cymbal. And like for me, that's what was so awesome too about recording with Donaldson was he just set the tone like so well, and the vibe was so good that I think it really helped me get my best performance. And like, he really let me like, oh wait, let me just, go one more take or try it this way. And like was really proactive and helping me do my thing with that. And it was great. We did those like 2 records, the ones you mentioned.
In one session. Oh, I didn't know that.
No, I'm not that good. Yeah, but
I was like, he's that good. Yeah, but
nah, no way. No, Donaldson is like, is the man, dude. He's too nice with his recommendations or whatever. But we did it, I think, within 6 months of each other. We did, I think, the Beneath record first, and then we went back to do Melancholy by Shadow of Intent, and they were both just like great experiences, like so fun recording. And the writing though, it's like I spent a lot of time doing pre-pro and programming the drums. I know that with stuff that's like as technical as Beneath, like it's so meticulous, and every note counts. Like every note is played with intention, and every accent on every splash of every fill is deliberate, you know? So like with that detail, I really had like a lot of the fills planned out and, you know, programmed, and then I would play it a certain way and maybe change it while I'm recording during the takes and whatnot. But yeah, it's difficult to explain. But some people you just kind of mesh well with, and the writing just goes smoothly, you know?
Mm-hmm. So when you write, you don't write on your drum set. You sit at a computer and write.
I do both. I've done a lot on just programming MIDI, but if I'm doing something like really deliberate, I have to kind of like work out the sticking and like I'll play the fills, or I'll be sitting there and I'll do this and I'll film a clip of it on my phone or video so I don't forget it. Or I'll kind of like figure out the sticking and be like, okay, this is here. But a lot of it I can really just do mentally, like playing in my head and like knowing how the sticking and kind of how like a certain fill feels, and then programming it there on my computer. So I don't necessarily have to be at the kit, but some parts like you kind of have to really sit down and do it to be able to
feel it out and work it out. Yeah. Are there moments that you program stuff and then you get to the kit and you're like, I went too far?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's like the ongoing challenge for sure as the drummer. Like I've had a lot of moments too, though, where like I would be playing a certain thing, or, you know, it's hard to get it to sound proper when you're programming it, but then when you play it and it really flows and like
it feels
and it makes sense.
To be there.
Yeah. The human's got to do it. Yeah. So
I totally get that.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Continuing on that, we mentioned that everyone has just become goddamn way too talented. It's a good thing. Is there going to be a plateau for extreme drumming? Can they go faster? Do you think that it's possible? What is going to become too much? I don't know.
Man, I don't know. That's a really good question. Because what I thought was impossible, like when I was younger years ago, I just ended up seeing other drummers do anyway, or like speeds that I thought were just like impossible. Like I'm seeing like Dark Funeral playing like, you know, like so for good. An hour set, like, and it's like, it's insanity. Like,
and he hits hard.
Origin. Yeah. It's like the fast, it's just absolutely insane. Like, I don't know like how it's going to plateau. Like, I think people are just getting like incrementally better and better, like as the years go by, but I don't know, there's got to be a ceiling or a shelf somewhere, but I don't know. It's hard to say for sure. It's interesting to think about and speculate on, but I think it's cool people like really pushing the boundaries. That's what was so appealing to me with like extreme drumming and extreme music, was just like seeing something and just being blown away by it, and not like, you know, it is like something that's new. Like when some of the early drummers I was like really into and inspired by, it was like Alex Grind from Despised, and like seeing really like the intensity and like some of these parts are insane. And Beneath, you know, I was a huge Beneath the Massacre fan as well, obviously, before I was able to do Fearmonger, the record with them and everything. And like that stuff just motivated me so much, like to pushing and just be like, I want to be able to play that, or like Origin, I want to be able to play an Origin song all the way through, you know, or like a Dark Funeral song without like stopping. And then you achieve one goal, and then it's like, all right, well, imagine doing that for an hour set at like a headlining show, and then imagine doing that at like a show that's a summer festival where you're like dying in the heat in the, you know, like there's so many layers and tiers to keep pushing. And that's like, to me, that's what gets me so excited about extreme drumming and extreme music. Is just like
challenging yourself to suffer more and more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the suffering. Yeah,
and then finding a way to get through the suffering.
Yes, yeah, overcoming the suffering, and just
you need dry hands.
Just pushing
dry
through.
hands. Dry hands is a big thing with Flo. He likes to have dry hands.
Okay, yeah. Does he use stick grips at all?
No.
I started doing that recently, and I played a festival the other week, and like even though I had the grip, my hands were like so dry that I could barely hold on to my sticks. Like, but it was confusing because they weren't slipping because they're wet, but like. I don't know the drumming secrets, man. I'm not
the drumming god was against you.
Yeah, they were that day for sure.
Speaking of sticks, hypothetically, this is the perfect answer for that. I like to make beers. It's my perfect collab. It fits my brand. It's stuff that I love to do. I've released over 80 of them in the past 5 years. I'm planning another probably 20 at this point this year, which is something I wasn't thinking of doing, but I am doing. I love to make beer. I make it for Cryptopsy. I make it for Devastation on the Nation, which I'm presenting this year. I make it for Cryptopsy. I make it for the podcast. I make it for everything. I love making beers. What would be the perfect collab for you?
Ooh, the perfect collab for me so as beer is your collab.
It could be a beer if that's something that you're super into, but I don't think you are into it as much as I am.
Some other avenue of like a perfect collab. Oh, that's like a really good question, man. Oh, that's so tough. Because there's a lot of different things I'm into, but I can't say for sure. I need like a better idea. I might have to.
Flo's got his custom sticks. You must have some custom something
custom something, man. It might be I don't know, something gaming related maybe, or like
you mean like an Anthony Barone like drum game where people have to keep up with you.
Yeah, some kind of like blast beat like trainer where it's like, you have to like play on like same way a Guitar Hero or like Rock Band thing would be coming, but it's just only blast beats
the whole time.
And the speed of each thing or whatever, like you can face off each other and whatever, verse me, and you just train to
the blast master
suffer.
Blast suffering.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something like that. Maybe I'll work on that idea though. See what else I can come up with. That's a really good question.
I love it. I have a new segment. I guess it's not a new segment. I've been doing it for over a year now, where I ask my guests a short-term goal, something that they're working on that they hope to accomplish within the next month, 2 months. I call it the Fight the Hops question. What are you doing right now to fight the hops?
To fight the hops, man. To be honest with you, I want to get like in like pretty good shape, like to really just optimize my like drumming performance. But I started like training like kind of like Muay Thai recently, and like just like kickboxing, or my cousin's like really is really good. He's been like training me, and he does like mixed martial arts and kickboxing and stuff. So, but like when I played this festival like recently, it was so hot, and I remember like when like my cousin was like training me and just being like on the brink of like so exhausted, or when you're like just like working out so hard, or like when you're playing a set or something, and just like
you want to die, but you know that you have 3 more songs and you're gonna play them.
Yeah, exactly. And like you're on the click and you're just pushing through so hard, and like to me it felt like when I was like my cousin was training me and I was like trying not to throw up, like, but it's however many more kicks, and then you're still like in the round, and then you have like a minute rest, or it's like in between a song, it's like the intro starts and the next song's coming. You can't do anything about it. So for me, like I just really I wanted to get good like with training and stuff, but also just for having like the stamina and to really push like the live sets and play some festivals, do like some summer shows, be able to play in different conditions, and like just suffer and survive, and like see the other side. So I just want to like hit super hard and crush it, and
and survive. That's the episode name.
Nice. Yeah, I like that.
I like it, but I do agree with you that it's important because we jam and we practice in these perfect conditions, and half the time, 40s, more than that, 78% of the time, it's not those conditions. We can't always be in the Netherlands in those beautiful venues.
Absolutely. Yeah. Those are very nice. Yeah. There's so many variables and factors that go into like just performing, and like there's so many moving parts, especially in a band. Like I can't imagine doing that as a vocalist, with like the heat or like
I love it actually.
Stamina and the breath.
Well, we get off stage and Flo is so mad, and I'm like, that was so good. It's easy to sing when it's because of the humidity in the room. It makes it easier.
Oh, okay, I see.
For myself at least, but he gets so mad, and I'm like, that was the best, and he's so unhappy. But
that's me. Yeah, that's me too. Coming off stage, pissed. Yeah, but
you got to get those big ass paint drying fans. That's the secret.
Yeah. Okay, that's why.
Those
Elliot,
like paint drying fans. I think Elliot had one. No,
he was joking about having like oxygen, like like going off stage in between a song, and like
people do that.
I need to get some kind of like Camelback or something like you would wear to like just
or like Mastodon's microphone there, but it's
yeah, it's just like an oxygen mask or something in between a song to like, you know, to just boost back up like. But yeah,
I love it. I have one last question. It probably doesn't happen to you very often because you know, you're very busy, you're in good shape, you like to take care of yourself, but every once in a while it happens to everyone. What is your hangover cure?
Hangover cure. It's a tough one. I maybe using the sauna. Something about, just using the sauna is so nice, you know, like maybe I probably won't be like working out hard, you know, hard at all, or if at all after, you know, a really bad hangover. But I think like I'd probably, go with the sauna. That's always just like seems to, I don't know, boost me up.
Sweat
you know,
it
as long
out.
as you're not insanely dehydrated and you know, re-drink enough water and stuff. But that's probably my cure. That's my go-to.
Hell yes. Anthony, thank you so much for taking the time, hanging out with me, talking about life, talking about metal, talking about a lot about drumming, which I love, and craft beer. What a great night. I'm very excited for that tour you got coming up, Megadeth, Mudvayne, All That Remains. I'm stoked, very stoked you're doing just so goddamn well. I can't wait to meet you face to face. I love this. Thank you so much. Cheers.
Thank you so much, man. Cheers, man. It was an absolute pleasure.
Hey, thank you all so much for listening right today. You know that I love and appreciate that. Man, this was an awesome conversation. So stoked that I had the chance to hook up with Anthony. He's such a busy musician, constantly on the road, one of the best drummers out there, as Christian Donaldson mentioned. And I agree with that. Just crushing, hard-hitting, hard-working, and an all-around very cool guy. You should definitely go and try to catch that All That Remains tour that's coming, catch that new music they got coming up, and keep your eyes peeled for Anthony because he's going to be all over the place. Massive cheers to you, Anthony. Thank you for taking the time to hang out with me. The Vox and Hops Metal Podcast is brought to you by Sound Talent Media and Evergreen Podcasts. I hope you have a killer rest of the week. I will be back next week with another episode on Tuesday, but until then, remember to enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. Cheers, Vox and Hops heads.